Well, that was a crazy ride. How's it going, fellas and the files? This is Dominic from Film Overload, the channel where we talk about movies, pop culture, and everything in between. And finally, a movie review has once again graced this YouTube channel that deserves rounds of applause. Yes, it does, because it's been a while since I last posted a movie review, in fact a few months, but I am back with another one, and today I'm going to be reviewing a movie that I've had on my watch list for a very long time now, and that is the film The Favorite from 2018. Now, I have seen director Yorgos Lanthimos' other works, including The Lobster and The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Both I have rather mixed feelings on, so I kind of went into this movie a little bit hesitant, but I can safely say that this film actually greatly exceeded my expectations. The film is set in 18th century England, and we follow Queen Anne, played by Olivia Colman, who won her Oscar for this film over Glenn Close, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother video for a whole nother time. And we get to see Queen Anne's very interesting relationship with Lady Sarah, played by Rachel Weisz, but their relationship and their chemistry together get ultimately tested when Lady Sarah's cousin, Abigail, played by Emma Stone, comes in and completely turns the situation on its head. And I have to say, this film does a fantastic job at showing you just how much power there is in jealousy. There's a lot of jealousy in this film, especially displayed by Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone's characters. They are basically vying for the Queen's attention and the Queen's approval. And throughout the course of this film, I really felt this sense of dread for both characters, because you really get to see just how much they really want the Queen's attention, and they try and find her attention in various ways and in more ways than one. And just that dynamic between the three of them really was the heart and soul for me of this film. The story is simple, but the way director Yorgos Lanthimos tells it is quite interesting and quite compelling. Unlike his other works, I really felt like I connected with the characters in this film. The characters really drive this film, in my opinion, and they ultimately are carried by a very powerhouse screenplay, in my opinion. This film has comedy, romance, just some really interesting humor as well. There's a couple of really interesting spots here where you really see the characters go above and beyond themselves, once again, to really try and get the Queen's attention. At the heart of the story is really, like I said, this view of jealousy almost, because once again, they're really trying to vie for the Queen's attention, and she gives both of them the attention that they think they deserve, but they try and one-up each other. And again, Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone play that to a T. Totally deserved their Oscar nominations. Olivia Colman, in my opinion, was the one that stole the show for me, and now I can kind of see why she won Best Actress for this film, even though I preferred Glenn Close in The Wife. Olivia Colman killed this role as Queen Anne. She killed it. There were moments where I was just on the edge of my seat wondering what she was going to say next, because she's just that good in this film, and she's that good of an actress as well. I was totally invested in her character, and while her character seems off the wall at sometimes, you really understand where she's kind of coming from, like the stress of being the queen and commanding an entire country. It's a stressful job, and Olivia Colman played that to a T, just like Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone did with their respective characters. And while the really interesting story, the very engaging screenplay, and the fantastic performances of the actors are put on display, it's being completely done behind, or in front of, I should say, a beautifully shot film, very tasteful production design. The cinematography is beautiful. I really enjoyed the subtle cinematography in this film. I love the use of natural lighting. I am a sucker for natural lit films. Barry Lyndon is one of them. I just love naturally lit films, and this film just knocked that out of the park. I loved the production design. Again, I loved the costume design. I'm a big sucker for like period piece costumes. I love that. So this film really, kind of filled that for me perfectly. The music, in my opinion, and I want to make one note about the music. The music is incredibly off-putting in this film, I will admit, but it ultimately served the story because there's so much tension in this story, and the music perfectly captures that tension, in my opinion. So this movie is just very, very well made, and I just really enjoyed a lot of this film. However, there's a couple of things that I wish this film would have done a little bit better. One, the ending felt a little bit abrupt, and I wasn't really fully satisfied with the ending. Yes, I know that we kind of get a closure for the story, but I personally felt like this movie did not really have a very strong closure. I was really hoping for just a really gripping closure to these three characters and their story arcs, but I just didn't feel that for this film. I also didn't really care for the pacing of this film very much either. It really took its sweet time trying to tell you all of the really important things that it needed you to know, and the pacing kind of threw me off just a little bit. But once again, the brilliantly written screenplay and the comedic humor of this film kind of hide the pacing, but I noticed just a little bit during the middle of the movie that the pacing was not the greatest in my opinion either. But in the end, out of the three films that I've seen from director Yorgos Lanthimos, The Favorite is easily my favorite film of his films. I really enjoyed this film a lot. This film had a lot going for it, as I mentioned earlier. The story is really, really solid. I loved the screenplay and humor. Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz, and Emma Stone knock it out of the park. Their chemistry together is insane, and all of them deserve their nomination. And Olivia Colman, I really enjoyed her performance a lot. Oscar worthy? Probably not. Once again, I preferred Glenn Close in The Wife, but it is what it is. But I really enjoyed this movie a lot. There's a lot of good things going for it, but unfortunately, like I mentioned also, just a lack of solid pacing and a really, really filling ending kept me from giving this movie a little bit of a higher score. And because of those two things, I have to give this movie a solid 4 out of 5. A very solid movie from director Yorgos Lanthimos, and one that I could watch easily over and over and over again. And currently, as of the making of this video, you can watch this film on Hulu, but ultimately that is subject to change in the future because, streaming services. But that is all I really wanted to say in this review. And guys, if you have seen this film, leave a comment down below and tell me how you felt about it. And if you like this kind of content, hit that like button. Also hit subscribe while you're at it and turn on the post notifications so that you guys can get notified every single time that I post a video. You can follow me on Letterboxd, which is right here. I post all of my movie reviews on Letterboxd as it helps me keep track of movies that I have watched, movies that I haven't watched, and movies that I will watch. I think you guys would benefit greatly from this app and this website if you are indeed lovers of cinema like myself. As always, guys, happy movie watching. Take care.